Ah, Queen ants, one of the most biodiverse and unique ecosystems on the planet. And we begin on the most coveted morn in the Queen Anne's calendar, open morning. Here we are fortunate enough to see a timid taster girl hatch through the gates. This young creature is largely dependent on another girl, also known as a tour guide, whom she feeds her information off and can easily get lost in this complex web of corridors. Here we can see her enjoying her potential home, very much delighting in the fresh flowers planted there the day before. Here we see what the locals like to call the rainbows. Yet there has been many speculation over the origin of its bizarre meteorological name. At the end of rainbows is a toilet, or pot of gold if you want to be witty about it. As we venture past, we can see the very next stage before our eyes, a flock of lower fours, and what fascinating creatures they are. For individually, they are meek, sheepish creatures, but when they travel in plagues, they swarm the corridors and become possibly the most dangerous members of this ecosystem. This gregarious demeanour somewhat contrasts to the curiously covert methods of the enigma that is the sixth former. The sixth former could also be considered a different breed to the rest of the creatures. It dresses in a casual camouflage and can rarely be seen. The one place which they gather is their nearest watering hole, Cave 6, a hidden lair for those sixth formers to hydrate their brilliant minds. Not all sixth formers seek refuge in Cave 6, but are brave enough to overcome the riot that is the canteen, or Queen Anne's restaurant, as it were. And what a coincidence it is that the call for feeding time has been sounded, because as soon as the bell knolls, a cataclysmic stampede breaks the usual silence. Here we see a litter of fours, newly evolved from the array of embarrassing Facebook profile pictures that was the lower fours. Both the fours and the upper fours may seem like strong beings. However, they seem to rely on these small black boxes to feed them information and so tend to lack much speech. We are never quite sure what is so intriguing about them, and yet they are mesmerized. As we make our way into the quad, we can see a herd of lower fours sitting out in the open, munching away on the grass. A predator appears. The sixth former stealthily makes its way towards them. Its target, the spare seat next to the yell. She slowly approaches, not to startle them, but they notice. The prey flee from the situation, a close shave indeed. After lunch is over, each life form retires, gradually losing energy throughout the day. The most wary breed of pupil comes in the middle school. In the fifth form, these creatures are introduced to an external threat, a fatal disease otherwise known as GCSEs. Symptoms include heart palpitations, pupils dilating, hydration, and somewhat aggressive behaviour. These fine specimens are starved for time before this killer microorganism takes effect. Thus, they have developed their own customs to remind them of their impending doom, a warning signal plastered in their very own habitat. As the day draws to a close, mating season begins. In February, the elders of the drove indulge in the ritual of changing their coats to a ripe tangerine before presenting themselves to the males from another colony. Integration in this environment is slow, and the females have to frequently wipe off the sweat passed to their palms by the other sex. Unlike the rampant junior, the upper six are more timid and scarce. They journey in small packs and socialize in segregated classifications. They have adapted to associate themselves more with their seniors, eagerly awaiting at the warrens to suckle from the teats of their knowledge. After they have accomplished such tasks, these kind souls make the brave march up to their hive. This is not the only labour these worker ants must involve themselves in. During their morning congregation, where a smorgasbord of species meet, they must display themselves at the top of the hierarchy by climbing the colossal cliffs that amount to the assembly stairs. In some cases, they have adapted to defeat the predator, that is the torturous staircase. Another harsh hurdle encountered by many Queen Annes is that from the realms of physics to the summit, that is chemistry. Over time, these specimens have evolved to defeat this obstacle. The young are continually outsmarted by their elders, whom have developed the brain capacity to avoid this hindrance. In some ways, the upper six are the poorest species in terms of their finite nature, anxiously watching the days draw to a close, until one day they shall migrate like geese and seek refuge in the real world. Be it Durham, Exeter, Oxford, or even London Metropolitan,